What's going on, Jerome's? Happy Thursday. Your Minnesota Vikings finally, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Finally signed Dalton Risner, shoring up this offensive line. But the question is, how much was he going to contribute right away, and would he be potentially starting or playing on Sunday against the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego? Dalton Risner and Kevin O'Connell addressed the local media jackals about that on Wednesday, and it seemed pretty tepid. I mean, both of them hedged their bets quite a bit. Dalton Risner basically came out and said, we'll see what happens. Will Rag at Sports Illustrated, doesn't sound like there's any shot Dalton Risner starts on Sunday. He's got a lot of catching up to do in this offense, and self-admittedly, where it may be a little bit of humbleness. We're just like, we'll see what happens. I'm just here to help out the team wherever I can. And if it's to get the defense ready, a.k.a. him playing on the scout team, like he was ready to do it, man. And then Dave Mizutani's Pioneer Press. Kevin O'Connell says the Vikings will try to get Dalton Risner up to speed as fast as possible. No word yet on if he'll be ready to play on Sunday. We'll see how he progresses day to day as far as getting caught up. Now, it does feel like Kevin O'Connell's playing a little bit of a game where it's funny, where Dalton Risner came out and legitimately said, like, hey, there's a lot of similarities along the offensive line. Chris Cooper, Justin Riscotti, going back to the days in Denver. He said that a lot of the calls, a lot of scheme and concept are the same, going back to when Mike Munchak was the offensive line coach in Denver and Chris Cooper was the assistant. And then Kevin O'Connell basically said, it's totally different. It's totally different. So, I mean, Risner would know. Like, Risner, I'm sure, has already been in the playbook, and he can already see if there's similarities or not. But I feel like Kevin O'Connell, there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on right now, because of course you don't want to come out and say it's like, oh yes, of course Dalton Risner is going to be starting this Sunday against the Chargers, because I mean the Chargers, they played against Risner twice a year over the last 4 seasons, so they would have a full dossier on him, and they would be able to prepare how the offensive line is going to look. So it's going to be state secret, because so during the season, media is allowed to view part of the practice, and it's usually the beginning parts where they're warming up and stretching. Yeah, you'll notice, like if you watch, does anyone watch local news anymore? If you watch local news, the B-roll will usually be a player stretching or doing individual drills, like quarterback dropping back and all that stuff, right? And then the team kicks the media out, and then they actually have practice where they actually implement the plays for the week, as well as you'll be able to see who is working where in terms of the first team offensive line. So I think they're going to keep that under wraps. I don't think that Kevin O'Connell wants that leaking, just giving them does it give them a 0.1% chance of winning more, a better chance of winning if they don't know, if the Chargers don't know who the starting offensive line is going to be? Maybe, but he'll take that. Yeah, and also it sort of goes back to last year, like when the Vikings traded for TJ Hawkinson right before the trade deadline. Irv Smith got hurt, and talk about Hawkinson's role. Like, nobody knew. And Kevin O'Connell was playing it very close to the vest ahead of their Week 9 matchup in Washington, but really Landover, Maryland, against the Commies. And I mean, media were speculating, fans were speculating. It's like, hey, if Hawkinson gets in with a package of plays, I mean, he just got here a couple days ago. He only had a couple practices, and then we'll see what happens, man. But maybe he'll have like 5-10 plays that get a couple catches. It'll be great. And then Hawkinson came out. He started the game, played 60 of 66 Vikings offensive snaps, and had 9 catches for 70 yards on 9 targets. No big deal. No big deal. So a surprise sneak attack by Kevin O'Connell. And I actually, instead of playing the games with the media, I actually wish that Kevin O'Connell would just go full all departed, like Staff Sergeant Dignam. Hey, is Dalton Risner going to start or play on Sunday? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe F yourself. It's the greatest Photoshop of all time. Hey, I know that guy Eli Corbett is super talented, but come on, baby. I'm coming for the crown. That's right. But a couple factors go into if Risner is going to start or even suit up and be a backup, potentially playing on Sundays. So number one, diving into the playbook. That's paramount. Risner's got to know the calls. Risner's got to be able to be relatively comfortable out there, and it's hard to do. Crash course getting 3 practices in, and you're going to be lining up next to 2 guys that you've never played with before, outside of if he starts at guard, and Schlutman, obviously, he has experience with back in Denver. Risner's football shape. So that's the thing, too. Like, I'm sure he's been working out. But football shape and actual being in contact and being ready to play 60 minutes, that's way different, especially along the offensive line where you don't get a break, you don't get a sub. There ain't nothing like that. So they'll have to judge if he's good to go, cardio wise and football shape wise. Plus, Kevin O'Connell alluded to something medical during the summer as a potential reason why the Vikings didn't sign him at the beginning of the month. And is that lingering? Is that something that's still a concern? Did they only sign him now because they're worried about him signing somewhere else? Is he still going to be shelved up because of that undisclosed medical thing? He wasn't listed on the injury report, so it's probably unlikely. So who knows? Who really knows? Other injury status, because looking at the rest of the offensive line, Darrisaw returned to practice in a limited capacity. Bradbury was still DNP on Wednesday, but Schlutman would fill in nicely at center. And, Quisenberry is probably going to be out there left tackle, but what if Darrisaw doesn't go? Do the Vikings pull a full Yankee swap? Because Kevin O'Connell talked about getting the best 5 out there. Do they go Ezra Cleveland at left tackle? This is his natural position. Do they put Dalton Risner at left guard, which is the position that he's played over the last 4 years in Denver, and then go from there, right? Or did they just straight up put him in for Ed Ingram? I don't know, man. But also it comes down to how does Ezra and Ingram play. So say the Vikings take the field on Sunday with Darrisaw with hopefully good to go with that ankle, Ezra, Schlutman, Ed Ingram, and Brian O'Neill. The offensive line that's basically been the last two. Not week 2, but week 1. Parts of week 1. Anyways, if they go that route and Ed Ingram and Ezra Cleveland struggle mightily against the Chargers defensive line, do they have a quick hook? Like, do they put Dalton Risner in? Do they put Dalton Risner in ahead of Blake Brandel, who they clearly like as their backup guard through training camp and preseason? I don't know. And also, lastly, must be the money. They did not pay Dalton Risner $4 million to be a backup. They didn't. So Kwesi and management, I'm sure, want ROI as soon as possible, but also they have to balance that with, would Risner be more of a hindrance or a liability out there, or would he be an asset? That's something that they have to weigh in terms of him knowing the offense, of him being in football shape, the medicals, as well as just trying to get your best 5 out there. But this again, just going back to Hawkinson, I just feel like this is a little bit of a smokescreen from Kevin O'Connell, because KOC doesn't play the game as overtly as Zimmer does. I don't know if Chris Keenum's going to start this week. But, he still plays the game. Like, he's a coach. He played for frickin' Belichick, so of course he's going to play these games. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Risner just comes out and starts. Like, if they just bench Ed Ingram and they put Dalton Risner in and they just go from there, because no pussyfooting around. You're 0-2. You signed Dalton Risner for $4 million. You traded for Cam Akers. You're all in. You cannot start the season 0-3. And, if you're going to use them, use them. Yeah, go ahead at this point. But your thoughts are thoughts. Will Dalton Risner start or play on Sunday against the Chargers? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.